On today's episode of the Sports Mules, Nick Saban has a sit-down conversation with Congress. There's actually a good story that comes out of Major League Baseball. Clemson joins FSU in suing the ACC. I'm still waiting on something from Fanatics, and I'm so effing mad today. I've already recorded this intro 6 times, so let's hope this one works. Damn, I want to go punch a kid and kick a kitten. Wake up, Mules Nation. Time to dig in. Welcome to the Sports Mules. I am, as always, you know what? I'm so mad today. I don't even have a typical smartass intro for you guys. We all know who I am by this point, right? I'm Eric Heiner. I'm the host and showrunner of this dysfunctional podcast. Welcome to my nightmare. Whenever you're listening, however you're listening, if you are listening, thank you for making us a part of your day. I still do appreciate it. So I told you guys yesterday in the show, if you listened to it, if you didn't, go back and listen and then come back. We'll wait. Welcome back. I was taking my daughter driving, some more practice, and I said if I wasn't back, then things have gone horribly wrong. I'm here, so obviously things went relatively well. But she did a phenomenal job yesterday. I'm super proud of her. I'm a horrible teacher because it started getting windy and rainy, and we stayed out. She did great. I had her go down the super narrow street with a car coming at us. She did good. We drove on some roads. And other than some prick in a BMW, who I'm still going to find and just slap the teeth out of, she did a great job. So, yeah, super proud of her. Still here. Car's in one piece. So, hey, what else can you ask for? But it's a good day. I hope you guys are having a better day than I'm having. That's a long story, but it's still a fun week. The sun is shining because, of course, it's shining. My mood and the weather outside are almost always opposite ends, right? When I'm super happy and cheerful, it's like cold and rainy outside, right? Take what that from you want. And then usually when I'm in a bad, pissed off mood, the sun shines as the universe is like, hey man, it's not so bad. It is that bad. I deal with anyway. But it's a good day, right? We're above ground. It's a good day. Major League Baseball starts off next week. We'll get into more of that next week. Tournament starts today. So all of you 1-800-GAMBLER, all of you degenerates, get yourselves prepared. What else do we have going on? Yeah, like I said in the intro, I'm still waiting on something from Fanatics. I ordered it, heard nothing, saw nothing, no update on tracking. So I tried to call them. That doesn't work. Got the robot, had to chat GPT my way around it to talk to a human. Finally got one of those, which, to be honest, usually I prefer the robot, but for this one, I needed an actual answer. And they're like, oh, well, we thought it was delivered. I go, where does it say it was delivered? I don't even have any information. And they go, oh, yeah, maybe it was stolen. Stolen by who? It doesn't say anything. But so they're sending me I don't even want to say replacement because I never got the first one. They're just sending me what they were supposed to. But Fanatics apparently would have been fine with me paying for something that I never got, that they never got notification that it was received. So my new personal war against Fanatics continues. Maybe that's why I didn't get anything. Maybe they were listening to my podcast about how much I hate them. Who are we kidding? They're not listening. And if they are, assholes, deliver the shit that I bought. I don't know what to tell you. That's how business works, right? You have something, I would like it. I give you money, and then you give me the item. I don't just give you money. That's how the mob works. So, we'll see. We'll see if it gets here. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. We'll see if it gets here tomorrow, and then I'll tell you next week how things are going. So Fanatics still blows. No shock there. There was some more interesting developments overnight, though. Shohei Ohtani's interpreter has been fired by the Dodgers because apparently he was gambling massively to the point that he was large sums of money in debt. And apparently he was either stealing things from the Dodgers or stealing memorabilia, whatever. But there's also some shady stuff there. But apparently him and Shohei are very, very good friends. And Shohei was paying off his gambling debts to the point of, like, his name was on, like, checks. Shohei's name is on checks, which looks like, if you try to do it properly, looks like Shohei was gambling. He wasn't. His interpreter was. But yeah, that's a developing story. So I can't wait to see, because we all know how MLB feels about gambling. Steroids, do whatever you want. We'll make you pay the price later on. But gambling, get ready. But they're not going to do anything to Shohei. They have their scapegoat already. So they'll do that. But no, we'll keep an eye on that. And then we have some. I would say that's my tournament, but I don't have one printed out. I'm just trying to go off of memory. But no, we have some stuff with Nick Saban. There's a good story. It's a good and bad story at the same time at MLB. The end result is good. The story itself, not the best, but the end result is good, I guess. We need some cheering up. And then Clemson is suing the ACC because money. Deep breath, Eric. Deep breath. It has been... You ever wake up and go, I'm going to have a good day today? And about 6 seconds into the day, karma just goes, not here, son. And just right in the cojones. That's been my morning. That's been my morning for the last 4 hours. Serenity now. Insanity later. So as we get into our first subject here for the day, Nick Saban, who I am, full disclosure here, I'm a big fan of. Love everything he did. Loved how he processed things. Loved how he got his staff and his players all on the same page and how they're all looking for the same stuff. And we knew he was getting close to retirement anyway. But, apparently this last season, especially this last game in the Rose Bowl against Michigan, really just was the deciding factor. Why wait? Do this now. And Congress is looking at the NCAA and NIL money and the transfer portal because obviously Congress has nothing else better to do than this, even though I agree that there should be some sort of oversight. We have some other problems, Congress. Fucking just idiots. God damn. Anywho, so Nick Saban sits down with them, and they're discussing his career, and they're talking about NIL. And it was hard to hear if you go online and look at the discussion, look at his speech and the things he said. And some of it was hard to watch it, because there's moments where he's discussing why he moved on and what really impacted his decision now to retire. And the big things that I took away from it, and he mentions in there, is so him and his wife was a massive part of recruiting and the program itself. And he would always have recruits over with their families, and they'd have a little cookout and whatnot. And his wife would talk to the parents, usually the mothers or grandmothers or aunts, whoever was there, and be like, "Hey, listen, your child's going to come here, and we're going to do our best. He's going to be well taken care of, and we're going to do our best job to help him become the best man he can be in life." Right? Not just her job isn't necessarily football. That's what Nick's for. But her, she's like, he's going to be protected, he's going to be watched after, and we're going to help him become the best man he can be in life. And the last few years, it went from, wow, that's great, that's super important to us, I'm glad you're here to watch out for him, make sure he's okay, going to class, doing what he needs to do. And the last few years, it has turned into, How much money are we going to get? And so Nick Saban saw after the Rose Bowl loss, he has this little speech he gives or breakdown and talk to the guys, and it wasn't resonating the way that it used to. He was getting a lot more in return from, what do I need to be better? How can I help out? Is this the position for me? You need me to move somewhere else? Instead of having those conversations, he was now getting players coming up to him and saying, well, how much playing time do you think I'm going to get next season? How much of this NIL money can I get? How much do you think I'm going to get paid? Because if both those numbers aren't what I like, I'm going to go in the transfer portal and I'm going to get out of here and go someplace where I can get the playing time, or more importantly, I can get the money that I want to get. And that's what they were worried about. Which, in case anybody's curious, that's called pay for play, right? Back in the old days, that's what would get death penalty on your program and get restrictions or get kids kicked off. Now that's just standard operating procedure. Side note: give Reggie his fucking Heisman back. So he would talk to these players, and it was no longer about the team or the player being better, what they needed to improve on. It was about, what can you guarantee me? Playing time and money. What can you guarantee me? And his wife went to him and said, why are we doing this? Why are we still doing this? They don't care anymore. It's about money. And when Nick Saban was talking about it, and he starts discussing about everything that he's believed in the 50 years he's been in coaching, from college level at various levels up to the pros, and then obviously head coach at Alabama, everything he's done in 50 years no longer exists. What he believed in doesn't exist anymore. And his voice, there's a moment in there when he's talking and his voice kind of cracks and gives a little bit. That's how you can tell what it really means to him. And it's also that part when you say something out loud that everybody's hearing and you're also hearing again, even though you may think it, you say it out loud and you hear yourself say it, that it really sinks in, that everything he had believed in and thought of for his entire career doesn't exist anymore. And that's why he left, end of days. And, this is something that it's only going to get worse for now. Hopefully it'll plateau at some point, or they'll get some things fixed. But right now it's only going to get worse, because we're going to keep losing good coaches who either don't want to be head coaches anymore. Chip Kelly, who I'm not the biggest fan of in the world, but Chip Kelly left being the head coach at UCLA. He was probably going to get fired anyway, but he stepped down from being the head coach to go be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Because in him, he's like, listen, I can just be a positional coach. I can just focus on this. I help out recruiting, but I just really have a football job, and I can just do that. The head coach can handle the rest of this, running this organization. I can just do what I like to do, which is football stuff. And he's not the only one. There's other coaches that are leaving college head coaching jobs to go do positional work in the pros, or like this at other college, at other colleges and universities, because they don't want the nonsense of having to deal with kids and parents who don't care about playing and getting a degree and being the best that they can be. They're concerned about playing time and money, playing time and money, pay for play. So he's stepping down early. Chip Kelly's leaving. We have other people. And then we're also going to get, and it's the same world that we kind of have in teaching, right? We've gotten to a point in the teaching world where we've left so much up to these tests they take, which matter, right? This is what we base everything on, tests, right? And now teachers are preparing for students to take a standardized test more than they're worried about teaching kids. And the administration doesn't care. They just want to have the test scores so that they can get their money. Administration doesn't care. Half these teachers don't care. And my mom's a retired teacher. I take this shit personally. And you have good teachers who leave early or don't get into it or whatever because they want to do things for the right reasons. And they can't do it anymore because it doesn't exist. In teaching, it doesn't. You got people who just want to be teachers because like, oh shit, I get summers off. What a great reason to educate our youth. No wonder they're such dopes. You got teachers that don't give a shit. No wonder we have kids that don't give a shit. We have coaches who have to deal with players and families who don't care anymore. Why do you think they care? And you go, Jesus, these coaches, what a bunch of idiots. Because garbage in, garbage out, just like politics. Everybody hates politicians. Politicians are just reflection of the population the people put them there. You hate our politicians? You know why? Because we're trash. That's why. And this is what we have now, and this is what we've created. Right? Coaching isn't about developing these young men to be the best players they can be, to give them the most opportunity if they want to continue in any sport. And we're not here to help them be the best men they can be so they can grow up to be proper men, to be proper parents, to be proper husbands and sons and be productive in society. We don't care about that anymore. Bring them in, get them their money, get them out. Make sure that we get paid our money and just keep this process rolling. Nobody cares anymore. So what we used to do to care, and again, and don't get me wrong, right? I know there's always been coaches like that. There's always been places like that who don't care about all those things. They just want wins, right? But the majority of coaches aren't that way. Do they want to win? Absolutely. But do they want to do it the right way and how actually build these young men up? Yes. Are there degenerates? Yes. It's law of average. It's going to be that way. But the majority don't. I wasn't that way. I care. Do I want to win? Absolutely. I hate losing. Did I want these guys to be the best athletes they can be? You better believe it. But more importantly, did I want them to be the best men they can be? That's what paramount of everything. I don't care if you never played one snap. If you came out here a better person than you came in, that's a win for me. But those days are over. And NIL has gotten to a point where this is what we've set the standard for them to be now, right? We don't worry about developing people. We worry about how much can we pay them to get the best people here so that we can win, so that we can get money. That's what the concern is. And, there's some other things for for NIL as well that just, now I'll put this out, right? I'm not against NIL, right? If you want to build your brand and get money that you've earned so far from it, I'm all for it, right? Get your cut, do what you got to do, and build yourself up and get your recognition out there, whether or not you're going pro or just to help yourself in life. That's fine. But there does need to be some sort of oversight on this. And I think every player in high school, Kirby Smart had a thing the other day. He was at a press conference, and some kids are signed, as juniors and committed to, say Georgia, for an example, right? And they're like, well, I'm going to sit out my senior year because I don't want to get hurt. And Kirby's like, I don't want those people, because if you're going to sit out your senior year in high school, how do I know you're not going to do it for me? I'm in high school. I want to get ready for college. All right, well, I'm in college. I want to get ready for the pros. I don't want to hurt myself. How do you know? This is what we've set ourselves up for. And we've allowed, coaches allowed this, parents allow this, other idiot coaches in college are obviously allowing this. They're like, yeah, no, take a year off and then come back to us. That way we know you're not injured. So there needs to be some sort of oversight in this. And again, every player is not getting millions of dollars, right? It's a very, very small number. But these kids, because they don't know shit about anything, think, I go here, I'm going to make millions of dollars. No, that's not how it works. That's why they jump around everywhere, right? House of Pain is in the fucking house because they don't know how any of this stuff works because nobody tells them. And then also, who's watching out for these kids? Who's taking care of them when it does come to the money side of it? Are the parents watching these kids? Do they really care? Do they just see a number? And who's taking advantage of these kids? Somebody's stealing money, and I guarantee somebody's stealing their money. Somebody's giving these kids bad financial advice. They're not telling them where all their money's going. Some greedy ass agent out there, or supposed agent, or dirty uncle, is out there already stealing from these kids. You know it is happening. We're going to start to see that coming out. Guarantee it. But and what assurances do I have that I'll play? How much am I going to get paid? This is what they want to know. I don't know. How much are you willing to work? What are you willing to put in for it? And before anybody starts chiming in about, these schools make all this money. We've been through this before, right? How, they get all this money. They're exploiting these kids. Are you exploited? Do you work for a company that makes money, a large sum of money, tells you how well they're doing, and then when you go, hey, can I get a raise so that I can, afford life? And they go, I don't know, things are great. Are they exploiting you? I'm not saying it's right, but that's just how life works. Life is not fair. And if you think everything in life should be fair, then I don't know, go back to fucking Disney World and go back to It's a Small World and go figure that out and live in there for the rest of your life. That's not life. So grow up and hit that reality. But we've created this, right? Again, and we could be mad at the coaches. We could be mad at the schools. We could be mad at the players. We could be mad at the agents. We could be mad at everybody. But just like politicians, like I said before, who created all this? We did. We created this monster. We created this nonsense. Teams, good teams that are together and united, and I'll steal more from my lovely mules. One heartbeat, right? You have to do something in the best interest of your teammates, even if it goes what you want and what's best for you right now. You make decisions on the larger picture because we're all in this together, right? You can get paid and I can get paid. We can all get paid. We could all have a good time and we could all be successful and not be greedy if we still do this for one another and we're all in this together, right? Not to sound cheesy, but you can still do it. But Michigan wins a national championship this year. Whatever you want to think about Michigan and whatever you want to think about Jim Harbaugh, that team was united this year. Everything they have, they were all united. Players didn't care about touches, about catches, about playing time. They just wanted to be together and win for one another. And look what they did. Alabama, probably a better team, loses because they have players now that are only concerned about what am I getting out of this. It's about being a part of something bigger than oneself. And when teams no longer have that, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to win. You'll win a little bit, but end of the day, Michigan's national championship team won because they would die for one another. Alabama's team loses because they're making business decisions. I may go to prison today. So this may be the last episode of the Sports Mules because I may go to jail after today. Serenity Now. And speaking of Serenity Now, insanity later, Clemson has joined in with FSU to sue the ACC to get out of the conference, which to some extent you understand because years and years ago, before all these TV deals and rights started really exploding, the ACC got all their members together and said, hey, we are going to create this grant of rights law that essentially says when you sign it, all these schools are united in the conference, right? We are all together. And we all benefit from one another. We are all attached to one another. And if one of you leaves or wants to leave, there is going to be a very, very steep penalty. And the grant of rights was essentially in step with the television deal. And ACC signed a very large and long television deal at the time. And then as things got a little bit crazier, they signed a massive extension, which goes to 2036. And this was a few years they did this ago. So they all signed for a very large amount of time. But then they got to see what the SEC was getting in a television deal. They got to see what the Big Ten was getting in a television deal. The Big 12 absorbed a bunch of teams. The Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. And they looked at it and said, well, good thing we have our TV deal. It's not the best, but at least we have our TV deal. And we have all of our teams and schools locked in. And FSU and Clemson basically went to the ACC and had a, come to Jesus SC moment with the Pac-12 and said, the only reason you get any money is because of us in football, and we don't benefit at all from anybody else. We can go to another conference and get way more money. Like, we're carrying everything that goes on here. We're not benefiting from this. We'd like to leave. And the ACC said, no, you're with us until at least 2036. And if you want to leave, I think it was somewhere around $570 million total between fines, penalties, payouts to leave. And both schools, Florida State is a state school, obviously, hence Florida State. Doesn't take rocket scientists. And Clemson is a little bit more of a private school, but still, to say a little over $500 million to get out of this TV deal, grant of rights, was a little excessive. I think it's a little excessive. So Clemson sued the ACC. They went to court, and the court ruled that the ACC could still charge a fee, but they brought it down to like $140 million, to which the ACC then kind of, is currently appealing that decision. And again, it all comes down to money. They see all the money that these other schools, like Maryland, is making bank, and they're going to make even more money when the new TV deal kicks in, simply being in the Big Ten. They're going to get so much money from the TV deals. They get more money from the conference as a whole, because we discussed it before, right? We'll just take football example. When all of these teams go to bowl games, whatever the payout is for a bowl game, from all of these teams, they go into a big pot, and then that gets distributed equally between all the members of the Big Ten. And the more teams you have and the better teams you have, the better bowls you're going to get, and the more money you're going to make, and the more money you're going to get in return. Rutgers is trash in basically everything. Sorry, Rutgers, birthplace of college football. But facts are facts. They're not very good, but yet they make straight cash, homie, every year because they're in the Big Ten. And they're getting primetime games because they're going to play Michigan, they're going to play Ohio State, they're going to play Penn State, and now they're going to be playing UCLA, they're going to play Washington, they're going to play SC, they're going to play Oregon. Maybe not every year, but the cycle's they're getting big time games that they get to go to, that they get to host, that they get to be on TV, national TV for, just for the sake of the conference itself. Making money. And Clemson and Florida State go and say, where's our return on investment? We spent all this money to build up all of our facilities across all of our sports. And at the end of the day, if Clemson or Florida State has a bad year and they don't go to great bowl games, then they're not making as much money, and they're getting nothing back from the other ones because they're the two leaders in the conference. And who the hell else is out there? Miami? Miami can't figure anything out. They haven't figured anything out in 15 years, if not longer. Miami's not coming back. I hate to tell everybody that. Hurricanes aren't coming back. Breaks my heart. Hurricanes aren't coming back. North Carolina? Basketball? Sure. Duke? Basketball? Sure. But again, it's not college football money. So Florida State and Clemson say, we're We get nothing out of this. The reason we got what we have is because of us. And nobody else is helping us out. So we want to get the hell out of here. And ACC is like, all right, fine, you can leave. The two you want to leave? Yeah, that'll be $1 billion. So, yeah, money, money, money. Wow, NIL and TV deals. College football, which is like number 2 in this country in sports and attendance, viewership, advertising, everything. We said a long time in a podcast, just make it its own thing. Make it a little bit more pro-ish, where you can pay these guys and you can do everything. But all of this stuff leads to bad things. Dartmouth is still fighting about their union to have players be employees. I know when you're a kid, I was the same way. I'm still about that. I'm still that way about some things now. But you don't understand the larger picture. You don't understand how everything is connected. And you think what you're living through and what you're dealing is the greatest and worst thing to ever happen to people because you don't know. But all of these kids and all of these coaches and all these schools are slowly leading to the destruction of themselves. Right? They're biting the hand that feeds them. And it's sad to see, right? It's sad to see. But again, garbage in, garbage out. So we'll finish today on it's a good story. It's not a good story, but it is a good story, okay? So we're going to talk about a former MLB player that I guarantee nobody knows anything about. Andrew Tolles was originally drafted in 2012 by the Tampa Bay Rays. In 2013, he was named, I think, the top prospect for all of minor league baseball, at least for the Rays. But he was the minor league player of the year in 2013. In 2014, he started to have some issues. He was showing up late to practices or games. He, just seemed to be, he would have moments of just being lackadaisical in the field. And partway through the season, he asked himself to be released from the Rays. And then 2015, he didn't really play any baseball at all. He was putting out produce at a grocery store. And end of 2015, going into 2016, the Dodgers got in touch with him, asked him for a workout, liked him, asked him to spring training, and from there, made it to the team. Spent most of it in single A and working his way up single A, double A, and then was in triple A. And then through the process of how he played and some injuries and giving people rest, late in 2016, he got called up to the Dodgers. So he got called up to the major league. So a year before, he's out restocking bananas and broccoli. And 2016, he's playing in Major League Baseball for the Dodgers. And he wasn't just on the team. He was a big contributor, right? I think he had 3 home runs, played very well in the field, had a lot of clutch hits, and he helped them get to the playoffs that year, to which he played in every game of the 2016 playoffs. So here's this kid, a lot of promise, had some issues on and off the field, gets released to, kind of get himself right. 2015, doesn't play at all. 2016, playing for the Dodgers as a key member in the playoffs. I mean, what a great story that is. 2017, had high hopes for him, already makes the big squad. He's already with the Dodgers from the beginning. Early on in the season, though, tears an ACL, out for the rest of the season. Large portion of 2018, he's still rehabbing, starts to come back, and just is struggling in a lot of ways, and asked to be released again. 2018, last baseball of any sort, has been in baseball since 2018. So 6 years ago now. And you think, okay, well, that sounds like a lot of minor league baseball players, right? They start off strong, they struggle, maybe a shining moment, and then they fizz out again. And for most people, you would say, yeah, that's still a great story, but this one has a little bit more to it than that. He was also diagnosed in 2019 to be bipolar with schizophrenia. And back in 2014, when he was having troubles, when he was with the Rays minor league system team, when he asked to be released, this is all part of it. So he has had these issues for quite some time and was still able to be very successful. But for those of you who don't know a lot about mental health and mental illness, a lot of these things, especially the schizophrenia part, bipolar, you'll have moments, which we'll kind of discuss a little bit. But the schizophrenia, if that's not treated, not diagnosed, and not handled properly, that's what gets worse as time goes by and really leads things to not a great end. And in 2019, he was essentially homeless and on the proverbial run. He was in an accident in 2018 that kind of started all this off. He was in an accident in 2018, found his car on the side of the road, and police were looking for him, and they just found him out in the desert in Arizona, just wandering around, disoriented, didn't know what was happening. And first they just go, well, that's probably just from the accident. But it was a little bit more serious than that. But for 2019, his family didn't know where he was a large portion of the time. And there was some times that he was arrested for trespassing. And, he's out there kind of saying, people are out to get me. I'm on the run here. I got to get out of here. And his family thought he was dead. They saw a picture of him on the news saying, "Oh, look what happened to this former Major League Baseball player," because he looks rough in that mugshot. And his family was more relieved than anything to see it and just go, "Oh, thank God he's alive. We thought he was dead." So they reach out. They kind of try to get a hold of him. He gets a little bit of help, but then again, right, on the run. And he's from 2019 to 2021, he's in and out of, I think it was around 20 mental facilities. Where he would get better, take off, get caught, whatever, come back, get more treatment, and just kind of cycle repeat for 2 years of in and out of all of these facilities. He disappeared for a while again and wasn't found. Nobody knew where he was until he was arrested in Hong Kong for some minor theft, and he was in prison for a month. His sister had to go over and work with the U.S. Embassy to eventually get him released and brought back to where, again, he's in and out of hospitals and a little bit better track of him, but he is still having problems. All of that is horrible. It is all heartbreaking. As somebody who has and deals with mental health issues, there are good days and there are bad days, and the most horrible thing cannot affect you, and then the most minute thing can set you off. You never really know, and it's hard day to day to deal with it. You got a lot of things that go on, a lot of things that go through your head at all times, but always remember, if that's what's going on and that's how you feel, right, tell your loved ones, tell people that you care about what's going on and how you're feeling, right? Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. You're not alone in all this. And, mental health is not something to mess around with. But like I said, just remember, you're not alone in all of this. You do have help. And obviously, he's very lucky that he has a support system in his family that seem to be very caring, very loving, and want to help him out and want what's best for him. Is just sometimes that the bipolar and the schizophrenia, they get hard to manage, and your best intent and best things you do to protect them, sometimes they still get out, and then, it's like trying to catch a wild dog on the loose. It takes some time to get him back again, but at least he's lucky that he has that. And he's also lucky that since he left in 2018 and when he was diagnosed with the bipolar issues and the schizophrenia, the Dodgers have put him on their basically kind of physically unable to perform list, but they've kept him on the roster and the payroll to some extent, right? He doesn't get a pay. He doesn't have a salary. And the exclusion that he's on, he's not eating up a roster spot that somebody else can take. But what him being on this roster and this list allows is for him to still be on the Dodgers medical program and medical care, so that he can actually go to the hospitals and stay there and get cared for and helped. And, Dodgers are paying for that. He can still go out and get his medication. He can do all those things. So the Dodgers, in a world, and as mad as I've been today and all the other things we've discussed, in a world where it's all about money and it's all about me and it's all about chaos and it's all about just, what have you done for me lately? And then we have a story like this where you have an athlete or just any person who has had ups and downs, and the Dodgers don't have to do any of this. But they have looked at it and said, if we can do this small thing, right, it doesn't really cost us anything. He's on the health insurance, but you're the Dodgers. They've got the money to go. They just spent $1 billion a few weeks ago on 2 players. But to say, in the long run, it's more important to show some humanity about a human being and do whatever we can, no matter how big or small it is, to help somebody out in life, right? He's never going to play baseball again. He's never going to do anything for the Dodgers again, but they don't care. That's not their top concern. Their top concern is we can do something to help a family out, help a person out. That's what's paramount here. That's what's most important. And in a world of, and especially in sports where we talk about, like I said before, all the greed and everything else that goes on, to have this here as a shining example of what organizations and what people overall should be like and do is, if you can help somebody out, help them out. Doesn't cost you anything to do the right thing. So maybe it's not always garbage in, garbage out. Well, that's it for today's episode, boys and girls. And all I can say is, wow, 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 wow. What a roller coaster. What a roller coaster this thing called life is. So I hope you guys were entertained by me today, at least, in my rants and my ravings. And I hope some information that you got was insightful, thought-provoking, things that make you go, But the sun is shining. Salem is laying next to me. Thanks for your hard work today, buddy. I appreciate it. Treats in your future. But the weekend's coming. The tournament starts very shortly. So prepare yourself, 1-800-GAMBLER. So prepare yourself. Get ready. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy time with your family. Enjoy teaching your children how to drive, if that's what you're doing, or cook, or just doing what parents do to be a good parent and have our kids be better than we are. I mean, it's not hard to have my daughter be better than I am, but we still do our best. So go out, have fun, enjoy the weekend, enjoy time with friends and family. Tell them you love them. Until next time, dig in, go Mules.